Good evening, friends and family, and thank you for coming to another night with our RGBC Repair, Restore, and Grow Black Communities weekly podcast, Behind Black Business. And we have two wonderful guests here tonight. They have been guests on our show in the past, and we have Arthur Ward and Reggie O. And Arthur is very astute on the conversation around reparations. And we have Reggie on here because we want to have an intergenerational conversation here, about this issue of reparation. Our plans were to have Doris on, but for some reason, we're not able to have her in because Doris Lewis has created a contract for Chicago. Chicago is in the middle of some big elections, changes with aldermen, changes with mayors, and there's a lot of information going on here. So we are going to go on and go forward. Let me double check here. Let me double check here and see and make sure if I can get Doris in because I'm not seeing her. Nope. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So let's go on and go forward. We'll probably get Doris in next week
Okay.
because she has a really interesting perspective here on how we can approach our situation with our politicians here in terms of enhancing the Black communities in Chicago area. Now, as you know, we're a nonprofit organization and we are in support of Black businesses. So anything that we talk about, we want to address how this can impact our business community because we know that our businesses have the ability to help circulate dollars in our community. And so we're big proponents of supporting Black businesses. Black businesses are more likely to hire, they are more likely to give back. We have so many people, as we say every week, with businesses, and they're continuing to come, into our community, buy property, and not giving back to the people. We're having big enough problem with the resources, coming from our local government. So this is all a big issue here. We support our Black bank, the Southside Community Federal Credit Union, which is located at 55th and Wentworth. And we ask you to open up an account. When you open up accounts at a bank, that's how they're able to create dollars. So, we have our money in all of these major banks, and they're making a lot of money off of our people with our deposits in their accounts. And then lastly, we are great supporters of our Black bookstores. We have a number of Black bookstores, and if you go to our website at rrgbc.org, we have listed all of the Black bookstores that are here in Chicago. Why is it important? We need to be reading, we need to be learning. There's historical information that we need to know, and we have a lot of new current authors that are writing. Reggie O is one of our authors. Reggie, you have two books out now, right?
No, it's just one. It's actually
One.
I'm actually finishing up the final print of the book. I just actually finished up the editing, and we're setting up the website right now so people can purchase the book. It's called The Loveless Squirrel. It's a urban fiction book.
Okay, and this is wonderful because so many of our young people are starting to write, and I think that is wonderful. And we feature a Black bookstore every month, and so our bookstore of the month is the Book Joint, which is located at 330 East 51st Street in Boxville, right there by the train station. And you can go to www.bookjoint.com. They have an online presence, and you can purchase books. The book of the month, as you know, we give a book away every month. Is Scenes from My Life by Michael K. Williams, who's an actor. And Michael K. Williams played Omar Williams on the drama series The Wire.
Hmm.
So this is a book that he wrote, and this is a book that Verlene, who is the owner of the Book Joint, chose as our book of the month. So all
Mm.
you have to do is go to our website and subscribe, and you can become eligible to win a book. We also want you to go to Save Black Bookstores in Chicago at change.org and sign our petition, because just as Doris is trying to get people to look at our percentage of people in this city, where we have 30%, we should be
Hmm.
getting 30% resources. I spoke with Brother Yoel, who owns the Underground Bookstore, and he indicated to me if our bookstores just got 10% of the contracts for book purchases at the Chicago Public Schools, it would really help to sustain our bookstores. And he actually felt that those 22 bookstores that we lost in the past would never have gone out of business. So we're asking you to go to Save Black Bookstores in Chicago at change.org and sign our petition. Okay, well, let's get started with our conversation tonight.
Mm.
Um, we will be focusing on reparations. There's a lot of conversation around reparations. There's a lot of a lack of understanding about reparations and what it is. There's Okay. There's a lot of a lack of understanding about reparations and what it is. There there's a disagreement about whether we should just be getting money, or whether there are other things that we should be getting. There's localized reparations going. So we want to have a conversation about that tonight, because reparations has has the potential to have a huge impact on our lives and on our businesses, our communities, and all other aspects of our lives. So I would like Arthur, if you could begin this conversation with giving us an update on what's going on with reparations right now.
Okay, well, right now, what's going on with reparations is that we are doing more marketing right now in terms of getting the general public on in line with us. But also, some of our energy has been dissipated because of the activities of Narcan and Cobra and First Repair going all around the country, starting these local reparations fires. So we've been kind of stretched in terms of our advocacy and what we have been focusing on as far as our attention is concerned. But at the same time, we are gaining more and more numbers, okay, and more people able to handle the core activities that we need to be focused on, and also the overflow, which includes trying to put out as many of these local reparations fires as possible. So that's
Okay.
what's going on.
Well, let's give us a basic definition of what reparations is.
Reparations is basically repair for atrocities and economics that have been taken away from us. And in our particular case, we've had, at least as far as the country is concerned, 246 years of slavery, uh, 80 years of legalized Jim Crow, and then everything after those 80 years of all of the atrocities and policies and so forth, including mass incarceration, uh, 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 property being taken away from us both legally and illegally, and post legal atrocities from uh, the police and so forth. So, all of those have this economic impact on people that are lineage from American slavery in terms of their wealth position in this country and also their ability to develop fully as Americans.
Okay. And it's almost like right now, when you look at the fact that we have so many other people, from other countries that have come into our communities and have become very wealthy, you know, off of our dollars.
Hmm.
You can almost say they owe us reparations. It's like everybody
Well,
owes us reparations.
some of them from certain countries actually do, but that's something that needs to be addressed after we establish the federal reparations case.
Hmm.
It's something that we'll get back to. Uh,
Okay.
and I'm not opposed, and understand that I'm not opposed to local reparations, but with the NARC and Cobra Access trying to establish this before we get the federal case done, everything is out of order, and that's why a lot of reparations talk is so confused and filled with misunderstanding about what reparations is and how it should be deployed.
Okay, so I would like to ask Reggie to give his input, and because I did ask him to come on, because I do want to have a intergenerational discussion about this, and so I would like to get your perspective, Reggie, on what you think about reparations.
So I need to, first thing I want to say is that it's not a matter of if we're going to get reparations, when we're going to get, if we're going to get reparations, it's when we're going to get reparations. We're going to get reparations. It's going to happen for foundational Black Americans and the descendants of American slavery. It's going to happen. That's number one. Number two, as Arthur said, it is a debt owed. It's not just a debt owed for child slavery. It's not just a debt owed for Jim Crow or redlining or intimate domain or any of those atrocities that happened to our ancestors and people like folks of the past, but it's the simple fact that these harmful policies perpetrated by the American government are still impacting us today in
Yes,
2023. The fact
yes,
that we are being economically stranglehold because of the racist anti-black policies of the U.S. government, the debt needs to be paid. Now, people debate on a number, whether it's 17 trillion, 20 trillion, whatever the case may be, but it needs to be paid and it's going to be paid. People often ask, okay, is it cash? Is it land? Is it gold? Personally,
Hmm.
me, I would want cash, and I think it needs to be cash because even if you want to get land or gold, you if you say we get land, for example, if you don't have the capital to develop the land is worthless. It's just a plot of dirt. If you get gold, if you can find someone to sell the gold to for cash for other business ventures or just whatever you want to do, you still comes back to cash at the end of the day. Now, with the practical thing is to get cash and to use the cash to get other assets, whether it's gold, silver, land, or whatever the case may be. I'm pretty sure you guys heard about the Bruce's Beach incident out in
oh
California,
yeah, yeah,
where the
Hmm.
where the Bruce family was awarded the beach, but it also came with conditions. Number one, the biggest condition was that they can only, if they're going to resell it, they can only resell it back to the LA County for $20 million, even though that is at least $100 million property. The second condition was if they wanted to do any type of development, where they want to develop hotel, restaurant, any waterfront beach property, anything like that, they had to go through the LA County and go through the city council, which, in my opinion, is garbage. It's a piece of crap because if they legally own that property that was stolen from them
Hmm.
to do violence, anti-black racism, then they should be able to do whatever they want. So the question really comes: do they own the property? Um, One of the biggest things we need to, as we push forward towards our goal of reparations, is that we need to make sure that the language is very clear. We need to make sure that there's no loopholes or any type of illegalized jargon that can harm our community after receive our cash payments.
Well,
Because
now this is why I think we need to be a protected class.
I agree.
Well, actually, that would be part of the reparations portfolio. That's very important because what's the use of getting reparations in whatever form that it may take, even though I do agree with Reggie that the primary vehicle for reparations should be cash to Black individuals, okay?
Mhm.
But without protection, it even if it's not meaningless, it will become meaningless if
Right,
we don't have protection, and that has to
right,
be part of a
I
reparations
agree.
portfolio.
right.
Um, definitely needs to be protected class, anti-black hate crime, get rid of qualified immunity. That also be huge. And then one last thing I did want
Now,
to
what do you
say.
mean by qualified immunity?
So qualified immunity is basically if you have an encounter with a police officer and they shoot you, you can't outright sue that particular officer or officers. You have to go do suing the police department,
Hmm.
which can get so tangled up and so um, uh, um, it can be so confusing in terms of litigation that they may the police department may pay a settlement, but that particular race soldier or police officer that harmed you or harmed your family member won't necessarily go to jail for murder. So they're basically under the umbrella of the police department, and not actually suing the police officer outright. Now you could go to civil court and sue the police officer that caused the harm, but 9 times out of 10 it doesn't really work. The police officer basically walks under that qualified immunity clause. So I
Right.
think it needs to be cash payments. We definitely need an anti-hate crime bill and be a protective class, and it needs to
Mhm,
be the end of qualified immunity.
mhm.
Now, just going real back to the Bruce's Beach situation, I think that when it comes to dealing with the reparations claim, we need to have sincere, consistent, competent, and dedicated Black lawyers to handle the litigation, because as we know, there's going to be a monkey wrench thrown in there, whether it's from the U.S. government itself, average white citizens, or just naysayers. Period. We know that. We know that. So we definitely need to make sure that the it's concise, specific, and direct, and it's something that the average Black person can read and say, okay, I agree with this. And what I mean by Black people, I'm talking about foundation of Black Americans, ascended Americans, a slave. Somebody who could say, okay, my ancestors were slaves in this country. No, not Black Caribbeans, not black Africa immigrants coming from Africa, not white folks. They say, "Oh, my great grandmother was Black, so I deserve some." Nope, 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 nope. Specifically for foundational Black
So,
Americans.
so, Arthur, can you explain why this point isn't important?
Well, because reparations should definitely go only to the descendants of the originally harmed, and
Hmm.
that is in my particular case, I always interchangeably use foundational Black Americans because from the standpoint of English, it's very appropriate. I also use freedmen because that's the legal designation that the government has given us. So since the government has already done that part of the work, just keep rolling with it. But it has to be lineage specific.
Hmm.
One of
Agreed.
our problems as a people is like every time that we do try to establish something just for ourselves, the liberals and the acquiescent blacks will allow the terminology to be rolled into minority
Right.
or people of color and
Hmm.
Hmm.
all. Now we got BIPOC, which sneaks in some white people, all
Yep.
kinds of nonsense. You know what I'm
Dr.
saying?
Science talks
And
about
so,
that.
therefore, we have to have clarity in terms of who the eligible recipients are. Now,
Hmm.
I do follow the Darity standard, which is like very simple, very plain, very open. At least one line of lineage from a person or a family that was enslaved in this country. At least one, okay. And then the
Hmm.
second, is an identity standard. Did you and your family identify you as black, Negro, colored, African American, Afro American on your government documents, like your birth certificates, at
Mhm.
least 12 years before a reparations program is started, or 12 years before a reparations commission is started, which I think is a simple and fair way to establish that you are a descendant of that you are the proper recipient of the reparations.
Mhm.
Now, Arthur, people have brought that concern up as well, and what a lot of people are saying is that you should be able to track your family back to the 1870 U.S. Census, right?
Yes,
Just
that's two.
recently, right after slavery was abolished, and that will
Yeah,
give you the proof you need to say, "Hey, my lineage goes back to the slave plantation."
I roll
And
with that.
I good. And
Mhm.
just real quick, not just reparation for slavery, but when you think about all of the inventions that were stolen from black people from uh, um, Lewis, God, what's the guy's name? Vintage Lewis Green creating Jack Daniels. That recipe was stolen. When you look at Lewis Lattimore with the light bulb, that invention was stolen. When you look at the recipe for KFC, that was actually stolen from a black woman that Colonel Sanders actually stole. It's been some arguments that Henry Ford model of the T9 automobile was stolen from a black man from maybe 8 or 9 years before the original Ford vehicle was created in 1909. It's,
Mhm.
it's been uh, it's been argued that I can't remember the guy's name, but his invention goes back to 1901,
Mhm.
as well as a host of other inventions. Not just think about all the race riots. Whether we talking about the Memphis riot of 1863, whether we talking about the New York riot of 1865,
Mhm.
um, or just one I found out about today in Washington D.C., 1835, where just a simple accusation of a black man or a black woman doing something obscene to a white person would cause
Mhm.
hundreds of thousands of dollars in damage to businesses, homes, and having to start over well before Black Wall Street of the 1920s. You if we want to go in there, obviously Black Wall Street of 1920s here in Chicago. There was the
Mhm.
1917 Red Summer riot that cost hundreds and thousands of dollars to black folks home on the south side of Chicago, having to start over. Rosewood, the Devil's Punch Bowl, and so many others. So it's bigger than just slavery, um, and just some of the economic racism that goes on to this day. Even if
Well,
you
I mean, it's kind of like there's a racism is actually an economic a function of economics. Okay,
correct,
Yes.
so so to put that in the same sentence is kind of redundant, and
hmm
because of the fact that, and most people that know this, that there's only three countries in the world that was established explicitly as commercial constructs. That
hmm
is Hong Kong, Singapore, and the United
United
States.
States.
And so,
Mhm.
therefore, all conversations with the details starting here has to end with an economic conclusion, as far
right,
as like being part of the argument as far as constructing a reparations portfolio. And
hmm
notice that I always use the word portfolio is because, like, of course, the major or the central portion is going to be cash, or should
right,
be cash, but there's also other things that will have to be addressed, as far as like getting back the value of certain things that many black individuals or groups have invented, certain
Mhm.
industries that we created, how much of that should go to black foundational black Americans or American freedmen, and all of these kinds of things. And that is actually one of the reasons why a commission does need to be established, so that all of those discussions can occur. But at the same time, that commission should not and cannot consist of people that are pan African minded. This is not a pan African issue. This is a totally domestic issue between a certain group, the people that are descended from American slavery, and the federal government. That's it.
So, what is the basis for the Pan African position? What is their
Um,
the basis? You know, what are
the
why are they taking that position?
because they look at the slave trade as a networked global event. And from that viewpoint, they think that all reparations programs should be joined together as one big reparations claim. There's a lot of problems with that. First of all, uh, reparations programs had different ways of being worked in different countries. You're talking about different constitutions, different imposed slave cultures in different countries, different abolition timelines, and all this stuff. And generally, what they really want to do is to make the United States the default paymaster for all reparations programs throughout the world. And that
Mm,
simply is not, they barely want to, they don't want to pay us. So
hmm.
how are you going to have the United States to reparate the descendants of people that were enslaved in the Dominican Republic or Panama or Puerto Rico? No, that's not going to happen. And so basically, the Pan Africans are really delaying a lot of the progress that we could be making in the reparation space because of all of these details that they keep throwing out there, which gives the white people more things to work with
Hmm.
editorially, politically, legislatively against us. And notice who's getting paid.
Hmm.
Narcan and Cobra are getting paid by white liberals through their foundations because of the fact that they're confusing the reparations argument.
I know if you look at the situation in Evanston, and
It's
there's
terrible.
Yeah, it's a
this
piece of garbage.
confusion around,
Well, it's
or it's not clear, about what they're getting, why they're getting, and
And
who's
who's
who's.
getting it? Yeah, some
so
of the reparations money, quote unquote, in Evanston is actually being used to pay for Jamaicans in the city for their tuition for school.
hmm,
So how do they deserve that money? And they came from Jamaica. Okay. They
so
also want to open a diaspora and cultural institution in Evanston using that money as well. And then on top of that, that money, which the few recipients that did get the benefit, that money is not enough money to do anything. So they still have to have a good credit score, and then they're taken right to the institutions that caused the redlining in the first place.
right.
And see, there was once a very strong Black community in Evanston where they
Right,
had their own hospitals,
right.
their own doctors, Black people who owned a lot of those properties, not over on the lake, but just west of there,
Just
you
west
know,
of there.
just west of there, not those big homes. That was a very strong Black community there of
Hmm.
people. And you wouldn't know that today.
No,
You
no,
wouldn't know
because
that.
in
Most of
actuality, they are trying to push out the freedmen or foundational Black Americans that are still there. The main person that is financing First Repair and Cobra is this white millionaire there that, by the name of Chuck Lewis, who is the principal of the Lewis Sebring Foundation. Uh, he pays for all. Whenever you see Caribbeans and Nkechi Taifa and Sheila Jackson Lee and all these people coming
Yeah.
to Evanston, Chuck Lewis is the one that pays for all that stuff.
Hmm.
And he's also the person that's been giving Robin Ruth Simmons a lot of money that's enabling her to run around the country and start these local reparations fires all over the damn place.
Hmm.
now, Reggie, this whole conversation of reparations amongst the younger crowd, are they talking about it? What is their perspective
Um.
generally, or what are some of the different perspectives that you hear?
So yes, they are talking about it. a lot of understanding about reparations is coming from Dr. Clyde Anderson's line of books, whether it's Powernomics, Black Label Like Wealth, Dirty League Secrets, etc. A lot of us are checking into a lot of his old videos and lectures. And also, a big shout out to the new Black media, Professor Black Truth, Tariq Nasheed, Jason Black, Philip Scott, Vicky Diller. Those brothers and sisters are putting in a
Mm-hmm.
lot of work to put the message out there, because a lot of younger people are on social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, etc., and that's where we get a lot of information from. Yeah. So to answer your question, yes, we talk about reparations. We want reparations, and it's the beat, the drum is getting louder and louder
Mm-hmm.
and louder,
Mm-hmm.
especially more on a political stage. They're talking to the aldermen, they're talking to the putting the message out there. But hey, if you talking to the governor, you talking, or the presidential election or anything like that, mention reparations. Now HR 40,
Mm-hmm.
which is a study of reparations, but actual cash payments for foundational Black Americans. And I'll just go back to your point. No disrespect to the Caribbeans, no disrespect to our African brothers. That's on code.
Mhm,
What I mean by that on code is being B1, Black first.
mhm,
Hey, because I've one of I've talked to a lot of a few brothers and sisters that are Black immigrants, and had to had to explain to them our situation. Hey, we were slaves here, we were slaves here, and they were also slaves. But they gripe is with not with the United States, but with the UK or the Dutch or the Spanish,
yes,
whoever the
yes,
issue is. And
yes.
so and a lot of them understand that. They say, bro, I'm with you. Ask them.
Mhm,
They say, look, Black Americans, y'all deserve reparations. Y'all built the country. We wouldn't be here if it was for y'all. So getting on code with our Caribbean brothers, with our African brothers, that's gonna make us strong as a unit. That's gonna make us stronger as a people. But understand that we have our differences, we have our gripes. That look, if I was in Nigeria or Ghana and they came and asked me, hey, do you think Ghanaians or Nigerians deserve reparations? I'd be like, hell yeah, because y'all taking the resources, y'all enslaved them, and I would hope that if they would come to here in America and they asked them, do you think Freeman or Foundation of Black Americans deserve reparations? They would say the same thing. Now, me personally, I've heard out my own mouth a couple of African brothers say, yes, y'all deserve it. Y'all built the country.
mhm,
Mm-hmm.
But getting on code and staying on code and understand that black agenda, reparations, Black agenda, protective class is the key. Whether it's my generation, the younger generation, or Arthur in the older generation, coming
mhm.
together and being on that accord. That's gonna be the key. Got to be on code.
Now, Reggie, you do know that most of those individuals that you mentioned subscribe to my blog,
Okay, cool,
right? Which
Mm-hmm.
is freemanabsolute.com.
wonderful.
About
Oh,
I
one
have
last person.
about
I'm sorry.
30,000 subscribers.
Okay, wonderful. I'll check that out. Shout out to Marcel Dixon as well, because that is actually a brother who's run for congressman in South Carolina against James Clyburn. He has a reparations platform. So shout out to Marcel Dixon. I just want
Oh,
to say that.
So
Marcel's a friend of mine.
that's the other thing I wanted to address,
Mhm,
where the different politicians are with this in terms of supporting this, because I mean reparations is going to have such a impact
Mhm,
on our lives. You know, with this organization, we're trying to push and support our businesses and
mhm,
uplift our businesses and help our people. Because one of the problems is a consciousness. You know, even when we get this money, whatever we get, we have to have a collective consciousness, and so that we're going to support each other, and that's something that we're trying to get people to do. We got people who live in a community, who have businesses in their community that have been there for 30, 40 years, and they don't
mhm.
even know that they're there. They
Right,
walk right past these businesses. I seek out Black businesses. I seek out to,
right.
to, to spend my money with Black businesses. And I think this is very important, that we have a collective consciousness. Otherwise, we have these people that come on saying we're not a monolith, and we're all different, and calling us all these different names creates these divisions, because other
Right.
people are thriving off of our divisions.
True. That
True.
is
I agree
quite
with
true.
that. Well,
Yeah.
I would say personally, once we do get reparations, most of us, I'm just gonna be honest, are not gonna be on code. Are not gonna have that. A lot of us gonna blow the money. But it's not really about, that huge percentage. It's really about that 25-30%. That's going to be the percentage that makes a difference. That's why a lot of people are pushed so hard against it, because they're afraid of a brother like myself, a brother like Arthur, a sister like you, building with other smaller black businesses and coming together and building a conglomerate. Or some of us that say, you know what, I don't want to be in America no more. I'm going to the Caribbean. I'm going to that continent and building something up there with the natural resources. I build with the brothers up there and clicking with them. That is the fear. That is the fear. Now they can't stop it, because nothing's gonna stop it. It's gonna happen regardless. But they're gonna try to delay it. But
Well,
going
you
back,
know what, Reggie? I'm gonna tell you something. If I'm gonna tell you something for real, because you have to understand several things. Black people are still the most entrepreneurial group in this country.
because
The only reason why it has not grown to the place where it should be is
of lack of
because of the
resources,
intentional. Well, a little of that, some of that is true, and I'll go with you on that one. But a lot of it is our partitioning from capital.
right?
And look, I'm gonna tell you several things are gonna happen. First of all, when reparations are paid, you're gonna see an explosion of
Hmm.
black businesses.
Mm-hmm,
Okay,
right,
starting up. You're also going to see an explosion of black businesses that are already existing, improving, because now, okay, now, brother, I got money to get them other two trucks I've been needing.
right,
I
right.
got money
I
to
agree.
improve the look of my property. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. The other thing, the main one is not going to be my Mercedes Benz or Cadillac. The main primarily white-owned business is going to make a lot of money on reparations is Home Depot. Why is that?
People
Because
want,
these black people are not necessarily going to be moving to white neighborhoods. They're going to be keeping the homes that they already got, fixing those bad boys up, and buying property that's available in the primarily black neighborhood. And those neighborhoods are going to turn from neighborhoods to communities. We're
mm-hmm,
not we have black neighborhoods. We don't have black
Right.
communities. The Chinese have a community.
right,
And see,
You
your
understand?
community is where you live, is where you work,
Right.
is where you play.
Right.
mm,
That's what a community is,
Right.
because we have people who live in a community. Someone was making this analogy not too long ago about, we have a lot of black people that live in Bronzeville, but
Hmm.
they live in Bronzeville, they paying taxes in Bronzeville, but they working somewhere else. They're working
Right.
downtown, they're working in the suburbs, they're spending their money in other places.
mm-hmm,
And so here you live in a community that you are not supporting, even the
Right.
black businesses that are in your community. So we do that whole collective piece and that whole sense of community we have to have, and that's why I think that, being a protected class is so important.
Yeah, I
right.
mean, it's just like myself. I mean, I know Denise don't like this, but I occasionally smoke cigars, but I go out of my way to
Mm-hmm.
find black-owned cigar lounges.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna buy nothing from that white dude when I know that closer to me, number one, closer to me, and number two, owned by somebody in my community. And the place that I go to over on 47th Street is owned by a foundational Black American.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I go.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
And understanding that when you spend your money, with another black person, somehow those dollars find their way
They're
back.
networked.
Right.
Yep.
They're not just going out, because that's what's been happening. We've been spending
Right.
our money and it's just going out.
Yeah.
So
Right.
now,
I agree with that. There's a cleaners I go to, Progressive Cleaners, right off of 87 and Bennett, and I've been
mhm,
shopping with them for quite, and they do a good job.
Yeah.
So we all have our spots. So Soul Vegetarian, one of my
Me
absolute favorite
too.
spots in the city,
Yeah.
and I love it. So,
That's
but
right.
I agree with that. But Denise, you asked about politicians and where their head
Yeah.
was at. Well,
Totally
you
different realm.
So I'm pretty sure both of you are aware, Mayor Lightfoot has sent over 100 unknown illegal immigrants to the Woodline neighborhood where I'm located.
Hmm.
Right.
Used the closed down school on 61st,
Wadsworth.
yeah, Bosworth on 61st and St. Lawrence to
Hmm.
house them. And they've already started branching out of the school, and they're around the Jewel over there on 61st and Cottage Grove and
Hmm.
walking up and down the street. And it's a huge safety concern because we don't know who these people are. They could be murderers, killers. They have lines. They can have ties to the cartel. They could be rapists. We don't have no idea who these people are.
Hmm.
And for what my understanding was, the reason she did this was because she doesn't particularly like the 20th Ward Alderman, our Alderman, Jeanette Taylor. She has, and I guess in city council meetings, Miss Taylor has pushed back on, hey, what are you going to do for 20th Ward? What are you going to do for Blackworth? What are you going to do for Woodline? And there was a video I saw earlier today where she's actually gotten into Lori Lightfoot's face and told her about herself.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
she wanted to originally send 500 illegal immigrants to Woodline, which is insane. But she ended up sending 100, and the people, the citizens here in Woodline, have pushed back on it. Have told her we're not voting for you,
Hmm.
and they're really upset about that. But she did it out of spite for our alderman, and it's unfortunately zapping what few resources we have here in the community or in the
But I
neighborhood.
don't know that that necessarily started with Lori Lightfoot, because Rahm Emanuel closed those 50 schools.
Right?
You know,
Well,
there's
I'm
a
Yeah,
just
but
bigger
Ron Emanuel
there's a
wasn't accepting all these. That
immigrants.
wasn't going on when he was in office.
That's
But
true.
That
but
wasn't going on then.
could it be possible that this was part of a plan? You know, why do you close these schools
Maybe,
and then you
maybe.
bring in
Possibly.
these people? You know, because they know that. I mean, this conversation about the immigrants and people coming in at the border. You know, this has been going on.
Right?
So I mean, we think in terms of what's in front of us, but then we're dealing with an
People who think
entity
much long
that's
term.
planning things. You know, years out, you know, decades out.
Hmm.
And so,
Yeah,
and then
it's possible.
why, with all those 50 schools that they closed, why were they in the Black communities, you know? And then why would you put these people here? And if you're putting these people here, they're not going to just stay in that building, you know, they're going to work, you know, they're gonna want to get out and get homes. Where are they gonna get them? You know, the north side is saturated. You know, they're not going over there.
But they
This
ain't
is
going over
where
there because
there's a
white
lot of
They
folks
wasn't
vacant
over
going
land.
on there even if
They
it
wasn't
wasn't
over there because they ain't
saturated.
messing with them white folks. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, just to let you guys know, if it's happening here in Woodline, it's coming to the west side. It's
That's
coming to
right.
other parts to the south side. This
That's
this is
right.
your step one. And if it's coming here to Chicago, your New York Cities, your LA's, your Detroit's, your Memphis's, even smaller towns like a Jackson, Mississippi, it's coming there as well. Your
Hmm.
Atlanta's, they been, your Houston's and Dallas, it's coming there as well. So just, but yes, Lori Lightfoot is not a friend of black people, and I'm telling you, I'm making it. This is not a prediction; it's a fact. She on her way out. We getting a new
Okay.
man, and I think it might be my man Willie might be getting that
So
seat.
who are all of our candidates
Uh,
that are supporting reparations?
I actually haven't heard any of them speak on reparations specifically, but
I went to that mayor mayoral
debate.
forum.
Okay,
Yeah, it wasn't a debate. It was a
It was
forum.
a forum. Hmm.
Yeah, and um, the only one that had a good grasp of reparations was I forgot the guy's last name, but his first name was Cam.
Cam Buckner. Cam
Cam
Buckner.
Cam Buckner. Yes,
okay.
Hmm.
he's the
Hmm.
only one that really had a good grasp on what reparations was about and what reparations policy should look like. Everybody else seemed like they were kind of making it up on the fly.
So
You
what
know,
did he say?
Well, actually he said a lot of things that align with what I just opened with on this broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was impressed by that, and I said, okay, well, if Willie don't talk no better, then he'll get my vote instead. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Hmm.
yeah. But I had a chance to talk to Willie when I was in. It was like last year when I was down in Springfield, and I can't really talk to him because that damn white boy Scott is always hanging around him, like he's his damn overseer and shit. You
Right.
know, I mean, I really want to take a bat and knock the shit out of him. But
Oh.
but I'm gonna have a chance to talk to Willie one on one soon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes, definitely ask Brother Willie about reparations.
Yeah.
Well, I did go to an aldermanic forum over here, and there's a couple of aldermen, that are speaking out about it, and
Mhm.
I don't think we should have a forum where that question doesn't come up,
Agreed.
Hmm.
you know.
Well, the real blow up was when Gabe was at the first forum that was put on by the League of Women's Voters, and
Mhm.
we had 11 black candidates there for the fifth ward, and
Mhm.
Gabe, the white guy, is the only guy that talked about reparations,
Mhm.
and all the other candidates exploded. Some of them were seething. We had a couple of candidates saying like, "Well, you ain't got the right to talk about something like this." The hell he don't. He's a
Mhm.
politician.
Right.
And anybody that votes on a policy that is bequeathed to us by the government has a right to talk about it.
Hmm.
Sorry,
So what could we expect? What should we expect in terms of reparations from these local politicians?
nothing.
Let's say.
Uh, Actually, I'm gonna tell you because this is the way that we're shaping Gabe's Actually, the reparations is not a word that should be used for any equity initiatives being put forth by a locality or a state. It
Mhm.
should be special equity initiatives. That's what it should be called, not reparations. Reparations is a capital noun is a noun with a capital R that should be only dealt with by the federal government, not
Mhm.
by no local. I mean, the initial payment, the wealth gap closure figure is anywhere between 14 to 21 trillion dollars. The combined assets of all states and localities, period, I'm talking about net, is 5 trillion.
Oh,
So how
so they want to be able to afford it anyway.
So
right,
these
and two-thirds of
these
these places are in debt. So how are they going to pay us any kind of reparations?
so these initiatives should be able to have an impact on
Yes, in terms of
what we're
policy,
trying to do.
in
Hmm.
terms of policy, instead in terms of special set asides, in terms of special protections, and in terms of advocating for a correct federal program to be initiated for reparations. Even
Okay,
though a
those.
municipality, even though a municipality may not be able to expend reparations, it can definitely have an impact at the federal level as far as supporting a reparations policy at the federal level.
Okay, so let's be specific.
Yes.
What would be a policy?
A policy would be
What
like a
what
certain
what
amount
what
of,
what would be a policy that would support that could be an initiative here at the local level that will support reparations?
uh, uh, resolutions, and also also making sure that candidates that are representing congressional districts in the area support reparations at the federal level. Senators, congressmen, also making sure that reparative policies are being done at the local level, like a certain amount of contracts being set aside for foundational Black Americans,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
certain protections, okay, certain economic initiatives,
Yeah,
making
grant.
sure that tips are for people that live in the ward, not for white businesses that come in, build a facility, hand out a few jobs, and take the real profits out of the community. You see,
Hmm.
there's
Okay.
a whole lot of changes that we can make at the local and the state level.
So what I see that
as far
doing
as reparative
is
justice.
what I see that doing is tightening that collective. So when you do go to the table at the federal level, you got these
Hmm.
policies on the table. You got
Yes.
these people together, and not this we not a monolith
Right.
conversation.
Right.
But this is a policy, this is an initiative that we got on the table here, and we have these black people that are getting this money. We
Right.
got these black people that are doing this,
Right.
and we want reparations.
Right. And the other thing that we have to stop at the local level is this problematic thing that Cam, Robin Ruth Simmons, and Dr. Ron Daniels are attempting now at the local levels. Anytime that a locality establishes a reparations commission, we do not want any state level reparations or any local reparations using federal money of any type. If you're going to, if you feel, if let's say if the city of Los Angeles feels that they should give black people something, that should be
Mhm.
coming out of tax money that is generated by that state, not by federal monies that is given to them by the federal government. Why is that? Because you can't charge the government twice, and white reparations opponents will use that as a means to mitigate reparations once we get
Sure.
to the federal level. They'll say, well, we've already paid you reparations.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Bye. We don't want that
Mm-hmm.
to happen.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The committee in Los Angeles, or the
Mhm.
supposed 223,000 for housing discrimination, is that coming out of the state or is that
That
federal?
that will be coming out of the state.
Okay. Is some we can set up similar here in the state of Illinois? Is that
Maybe. But right now we're having a lot of problems with Governor Pritzker. Um, he's got we actually have two of our people that have been placed on the commission already. The commission is not complete, but we have several problematic people on there at this point. Matter of fact, one person is an actual descendant of a slave master. We
mhm.
Mm.
really don't want him on the committee.
So let me ask you. I was listening to a video from Gabe earlier today,
Yes, sir.
and I was told he was mentioning that the guy was descendant of a slave master, and Prisco was told that, hey, he does. I don't care. We can hire, basically we can hire a whole bunch of people on this commission that are
Oh yeah,
sons of
he told
slave
us that.
masters,
Mm.
and he's threatening to sue. Is that the case?
That is true. Yeah, we
Wow.
had direct commission with his chief of staff, and she's the actual one that wrote the letter.
Hmm.
And we had a real nice cussing match, knowing knowing that you can't.
Okay,
First of all,
Arthur.
you can't. Well, we did, but
Man.
Okay.
I had to let her know that you can't
Sure.
sue us for opposing people on a state commission. You
Right.
know that, and we know that. So don't even try it.
So
Okay.
are we getting support at the state level, and at
It
the
sounds like it.
where are we
We
getting support at the
where we
state and
were.
congressional level?
But what happened was we were getting support when Juliana Stratton, who is the lieutenant governor, was handling the reparations committee. But all of a sudden, at the last minute, Pritzker decided to let his office handle it. And this Hispanic lady, who is his chief of staff, they've been handpicking all kinds of people who don't have any kind of reparations understanding or mindset. So there's supposed to be 18 people on a commission. Right now, there are 8. So there's still 10 seats open. But I wanted to get on the commission. Marlon wanted to get on. Cynthia wanted to get on. And we got a few other people. We do have 2 people, Marvin Slaughter and Roger Elliott, who are on the commission now. Those are our people. But we got to get some more seats. We definitely don't want Cam on there. He's been down there in Springfield every other week, staying at an extended stay hotel, and I know this because I got ears both in Washington D.C. and Springfield, so I know what he's doing. But
So
that's what's going on.
in terms of the process of getting on the commission, is it simple as do the other members need to vote on it, or how does that process work? Why you can't be on the commission specifically?
Well, right now they have a small committee out of the Office of Human Rights down in Springfield that's going over the final candidates to be on the commission. But of course, we don't trust that process because that office is directly controlled by the governor. So
Mhm.
again, we are not we're not trusting the process, and we are going to be protesting every addition that we don't like. And right now, we're lobbying some congressmen down there in Springfield to try to exercise some degree of legislative power to circumvent the governor. He knows we're down there, but
What's the name of the congressman?
no, I'm not going to name any congressman right now. We're talking, behind closed doors right now.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
But you know, but
So
that's
now
what's going on.
Dr. Darity has a new book out, right?
Yes, well, he has two new books out. It's actually the first one is the second edition of From Here to Equality, and the second book is called the Black Reparations Project, in which him and a couple of other economists have actually laid out the framework of what a
Hmm.
proper reparations program should look like. So
Hmm.
that you can pre-order it right now on Amazon, and it'll be
Hmm.
shipping in May.
Okay. I
Yeah.
think that's very important that people are educated on this because I think people have a lot of different ideas, but a lot of
Misconception.
people just really don't understand what it means, to get reparations. They think it's just money.
No.
And yeah, you want money, but it's more than just
Yeah, it's a
more
Right.
than
whole
just
portfolio of things that need to be in place. Just like, for example, the Jews. They don't just
Mhm.
get money, they actually get a whole portfolio of things that are not even really talked about by anybody but them.
Right.
But
Mhm.
some of that involves protections. Some of that involves uh, programs and agencies that certain governments fund. Uh, Other things involve like paying for legal and legislative expertise so that they can get more reparations from different entities. That's just like when people talk about this local reparation stuff and this country may have it. That's legitimate, but we have to do it in order. We have to
Mhm.
get the federal piece done first because, for example, like I said earlier in the program, I'm not opposed to local reparations because they owe us too.
Mhm. Mhm.
But there's a difference between going at local reparations as an organization when the people in power have real control over the conversation, as opposed to federal reparations being established, a freedmen's bureau being established with that, and then a special office of a group of people that go to states and localities to negotiate a reparations expenditure. Because in that position, you have the power of the federal government behind you and the guns of the federal government behind you. When
Mhm.
you just
Mhm.
go in there as an organization with nothing behind you, they control the conversation. And so
Sure.
what they'll do is they'll end up giving you $1 for every $1,000 that they really owe you. You
Mhm.
Right.
understand? It's just like a Harvard with a $12 billion endowment,
Yep.
an institution that was built by slaves,
Yeah.
offering us $10 million,
Yep.
as opposed to a group with the guns of the federal government behind it. Say, hey, no, we're gonna have to break off some of that endowment, baby.
Mhm.
Yep.
At least 7 billion to go
Not
to
not
the general Freedmen's Fund.
right. Not
Not no,
just
yeah. Go ahead, Red. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say not just for the people, not just Harvard, but Yale, Princeton,
No, yeah, I was
MIT.
just using that
Yeah,
as an
I know.
example. Yeah,
Yeah.
We have to say it. We have to say it because people
yeah,
don't know. And Wall Street in New York
yeah,
City was also predominantly a black area up to the 1830s. It was black folks living in Manhattan before they were violently pushed out.
yeah.
One quick thing, Arthur. So I was told that Chicago, the city of Chicago, also has a reparations committee. It's
Hmm.
with
Yes.
Tony Periwinkle. What's the status on that?
The status on that right now is that it's kind of like dormant right now because of activism from lineage-based activists like myself and others. We kind of shouted it down a little bit, and Cam and some of his associates have kind of backed off of it for a minute. But we would like to revive it, but we would like to revive it from the standpoint of the way we want it rather than the way they want it.
Hmm.
So that's
And
between
what's
a rock and a hard place
Periwinkle's
right
stance
now.
on it? She pushing against it? Is she on your side, or what she said?
You talking about the mayor?
No,
No,
he's
Tony
saying
Pratt.
he's asking about Tony Pretwinkle.
Tony Preckwinkle will actually match our energy.
Hmm.
She's like that. She wants to see if you're serious. If you're serious, she'll match your energy. If she doesn't see that you're serious, she'll sit back and wait till you get your stuff together. That's how she works.
Okay.
Well, I'm definitely feeling the energy here around this whole conversation of reparations. I definitely see our young people out here have a different mindset
Hmm.
about working. There is a lot of entrepreneurship out here. You know,
Hmm.
Reggie is an entrepreneur. You know, Arthur, you're an entrepreneur. The young man that handles our website. I mean, the people are looking at work differently, and we definitely do have an entrepreneurial spirit as
Hmm.
a people, and I think it's high right now. You know,
Right.
and just given the opportunity and the resources, you know, we're ready to move. If you look at our people, you know, back in the '60s and the '70s and the
Mhm.
'80s and the music that was
Right.
coming through, I mean, it was unstoppable, you know.
Right.
And so I think it's the right time. It's definitely
Right.
the right time.
I definitely agree with that sentiment. The way I look
Mhm.
at it is, why should Robert Smith be the only black billionaire? We need 10,000, 100,000 more of those. And
Yeah,
That's
we should
it's
be
coming.
actually black people should be at least 20% of the Forbes 400. You
Yep.
know,
that's right.
but it even affects black billionaires. We're at
Yeah.
the bottom of everything, even amongst billionaires. If you
Yep.
notice on the list of the 400 richest people, all of the blacks are at the bottom of the list.
Right.
They're billionaires, but at the bottom.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay, and so all of these things, as far as like being strangled from capital and other things, have strangled them too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Hmm.
debt, not a
And then, like
poverty
you
program.
said, something that
Because
you
it's getting
said that's
paid as
very
well.
key that we have to keep in mind. It's really about economics. You know,
It's
Yep.
all
we
about
they
economics.
make they make it the racism, they make it the
Nope.
color, but no,
Yeah,
it's really about economics
right.
and how we're being played on the game. You know, in
Yeah,
the
I don't.
Mm-hmm.
That's
atmosphere.
why I don't entertain
Those
any.
Hmm.
silent tactics.
I don't entertain any moral arguments because it ain't got shit to do with morality. It has to do with what you owe me.
Exactly.
You
Absolutely.
understand?
As Jason
Well,
Black would say,
Yeah.
cut the check.
we are
Flip.
past the top of the
Cut the
hour.
check.
Absolutely. We are
And
past the top of the hour, and I want to thank you so much for coming. We'll get Doris on with her contract
mhm.
for Chicago. Uh, but for tonight, this conversation on reparations, I hope it's been enlightening to people. I hope it's
Mhm.
been inspiring to people. And I definitely, you know, I'm appreciating the work that you're doing, Arthur, and I'm definitely appreciating you, Reggie. You are definitely giving me hope, you know, because we do have, you know, some great young people out here with some great minds,
Mhm.
and you're definitely one of them. So
I
I
appreciate it.
definitely
Thank you.
appreciate you. Absolutely. So I want everyone to continue. We have to support our black businesses. You know,
Yes.
go out of your way and support your black businesses. You know,
Read. Let's
these
get
are
on
not.
code.
I don't look at our businesses as just businesses. The people I go in and I have relationships with them. You know,
Hmm.
we're establishing a relationship here, and so we have to do this in order to strengthen this collective mindset that we
Right.
need to have. You know, and so support our black businesses, support our black bookstores, support the book joint, and go to rrgbc.org and
Hmm.
support our organization. You will find all of these podcasts. We've done over 90 podcasts, and you can watch all of these podcasts. They're all archived on our website. You can go to our website and find out where all of our bookstores are and support our black bookstores. So, and also you can donate and purchase from our store, which helps our efforts. So I want to thank you, Arthur, And thank you, Reggie, for coming.
All right,
All right.
thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Have a good
All
one.
right.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Good night.